Hey guys, if you like the content that we bring to you each week and want to help us spread the word, we're asking that you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our audio content on your favorite podcast platform, like each episode, leave comments and reviews, and share with your friends and family.
Yeah, so when you subscribe, like, and share, it triggers the behind the scenes algorithms that gives our content visibility to reach more people. So this is a great way you can help us to build our audience and share the good info we bring to you each week.
That's right. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. Are we ready, kids?
We live. Well, not
Aye,
actually live.
aye,
It's going to be
Captain.
recorded for you, but live for us.
Just let that go.
Oh, sorry.
Are we ready, kids?
Aye, Captain.
Well.
I can't do it.
Sorry, just delete all that because I can't remember the song.
can't do
I was going to say
this.
something who lives under the sea. What is it?
I don't know.
Don't put
Something,
this in there because I know
something,
you like to put
SpongeBob
square
SquarePants.
pin. Who lives in a pineapple under
Yeah,
the sea.
pineapple.
But doesn't he say, well? No, he doesn't. I don't think that's right. Don't put that on there.
Oh!
That's it! delete.
All right.
Backspace. All right, are you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get my feet ready. Okay, ready?
Ready.
All right. Welcome back to Covenant Therapy Marriage Ministry. I'm Janine.
I'm Teray, her husband.
No, that's Teray, and I'm Janine.
What?
I'm Janine, that's Teray.
Yeah.
We're the Galloways.
You threw me off with that one.
Sorry. Just trying to have fun, guys.
All right.
New year, new me.
New?
Sillier. I don't know if that's good or bad, but here we are. Living life, guys. Living life. All right.
Doing our thing.
So tonight, we have a pretty interesting topic. I think it's something that we all can identify with to some degree. I think people do it in relationships, marriage relationships. They do it in friendships. They do it in sibling type relationships.
Yeah.
I just think people tend to do this. So
And probably don't mean to do it, but because of our faulty human nature, it's just something that we draw on. So,
I agree with that.
yeah.
So the title is
Keeping score.
Score. Yeah, keeping score is not good. You're not supposed to do that. You're only supposed to keep score of the good things. You're not supposed to keep score of the bad things. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So keeping score, if you don't know what that is, it's essentially keeping a mental record of either wrongs that have been done to you, or in some cases, some people tend to keep a record of how much effort they put into the relationship.
Yeah. Be like, I do more than you. You know, I do so much more than you.
right.
You
I
don't
get up
live
every
to my
morning with those
standards.
dogs.
Yeah, all that
You
sort of
lay in the
stuff.
bed every morning. I work harder than you.
And you do. You get up and make breakfast. Do stuff.
I make our green juice every morning.
I appreciate it. Organifi.
Organifi.
No, we don't have any type of deal with them, but it is something that we drink every morning. We get up and have
Our green juice. It's
our
good.
green juice Organifi.
It's good.
It's got a lot of good stuff in it, y'all.
It
And
does.
try that.
It does.
Yeah.
It's not a paid promotion.
No, no promotions. No,
we just happen to
whatsoever.
like the product.
Yeah. And it works.
It does.
I mean,
we like
it works.
it.
They've got several different different flavors, different kinds, different ones that do different things, all natural ingredients. Why am I advertising for?
I don't
You ain't getting paid
know.
for this. So
We're not getting paid for this.
part
Maybe
of
one
our
day.
schedule
Organifi, call us.
is getting up, and she will do her morning routine, which I have grown to love and appreciate because it does benefit me, you know. But so yeah, I mean, anybody can go back and forth with who does more and this, that, and the third. But
It depends on the day. It depends on the week. It depends on the month. I mean,
yeah,
you know.
I mean, you know, stop being funky about it, though. You
Right.
know, it goes back to kind of like the agreement, you know, that you had we talked about roles. You know, if you communicate about that, then how can you, you know, get off on this other stuff unless there's just some real, she could really feel neglected, you know, by me not doing what she would expect me to do, and she feels like she does more than me in the relationship. If we had not already had a conversation and said, okay, this is what you're going to do, this is what I'm going to do, you know, anybody can feel that way, but you need to talk about it if it feels that way, because it may just be a perception.
Exactly. So, When we talk about one person putting in more work than the other, or the better part, sometimes, or the most important, sometimes you think what you do, yeah, they may do more, but what I do counts more because
More important.
It's more important.
Yep.
Some of the signs that maybe you're doing that, you start to treat the other person well. When you do that, let's just say that when you do that,
Right.
and you start to get a little high minded, and when you get high minded, you start treating the other person like they're a little less important, or what they do doesn't count, it doesn't matter as much. You can get irritated easily, frustrated, sort of nitpicky, just
Yeah.
picking at everything they do because really you're sort of unhappy in that situation. So go
You
ahead.
could also kind of feel like, you're the martyr for your marriage.
Oh my gosh, that's so
You're
true.
like, oh, if it wasn't for me, I do so much, and
I've been there. I've done that. I felt that
the
way.
marriage
Like,
is
how
not going to
ridiculous.
survive if you don't do everything that you do, and it gets really,
Yep.
it can get really bad.
It's ridiculous. And I can say, like, there have been times in our relationship, not even because of anything that you were doing. It was really just the enemy playing tricks in my mind, and I had bought into it for a little while, but I feel like God showed me that that's not true, and then He started highlighting all the things that you did do. And it just sort of put me in check and put me in perspective. Because, sometimes you get to a place when you do that, you get to the place where you feel like the other person owes you.
Right.
Like, you owe me because I work harder than you do in this
Yep.
relationship. You owe me. You're sitting here living, like, happy life because of me.
Yep.
So you just gotta, it's not good. You shouldn't do that. And I think the ultimate, then you can start manipulating. You can use that to your advantage. You
Yeah.
can start manipulating, like, oh, you depend on that breakfast, don't you?
Mm,
You
yeah.
better give me what I want or you ain't getting that breakfast.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Or using that towards sex.
Well,
You
that's
can't.
why I use my sexy voice.
You know what I'm saying? But
I'm wearing my sexy
your
eyes.
sexy eyes. Your sexy eyes, right?
That's right. I'm like Mrs. Potato Head. I'm pulling out my sexy eyes.
I'm not doing this today.
Sure you are, babe.
Yeah, but anyway, you can't hold sex hostage.
Please
Use
don't.
it as a manipulation
Please
tool
Don't do it.
from your spouse. We can get into all types of scriptures about things of that nature. But unfortunately, people do.
Yeah,
It becomes a weapon.
It does.
You
It
know,
can.
and if I'm
It
not
should not be.
getting what I need from you, you're not gonna get what you want from me. And that goes to both sides.
Right, of course.
There are women that purposefully use it as a weapon against their husband, but there are husbands that use it purposefully against their wives, and when the wife has a stronger desire, than the man. So, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Because you don't want the results from doing that. If
Well, it's
somebody
damaging to
goes a
your
separate way,
relationship. Don't
the
do
anger,
that.
the frustration, the bad feelings, the arguments,
Right.
because of stuff like that, and just the topic in general, keeping score. You have those arguments, and you start trying to list out everything that you
Yes.
do more or do better.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that whole "if it wasn't for me" thing, ain't nobody trying to hear that.
Trying to hear that?
Ain't nobody trying to hear that.
Ain't nobody trying to hear that.
Even if it is true, sometimes
Even if it is true, ain't nobody trying to hear
ain't
that.
nobody trying to hear that. The way that it comes out, ain't nobody trying to hear that. But if you approach the situation like we've talked about in our previous
right.
podcast about the way to communicate effectively to get things done, then you can bring that situation up in the right time and in the right space, in the right attitude, in the right conversation.
Yes. So the flip side of that is keeping score of the wrongs that have been done to you. So we just talked about keeping score of the effort that's put into the relationship, but there's also keeping score of like wrongs that have been done to you. And I think this is a big one.
I think it's big too.
I mean, comedians joke because women will pull stuff back from like
20 years ago.
1970. Like, you
Yeah.
remember when you said something in 1970?
You can
I
pull
still
a
remember.
rabbit out of your hat.
Yeah.
Trying to, for argument's sake, I mean, that shows, so many different things. First of all, it shows unforgiveness,
Yep. That's not good.
probably some bitterness,
Uh-huh.
because you feel like the issue was never dealt with, and it probably hasn't been if you may not have communicated properly you know, and
Right,
if
because
you
then it
haven't-
piles on. If you don't communicate, you don't get it off your chest.
right.
And if you don't get it off your chest, that means you're carrying it around.
And if you're already carrying something around, then everything else
Oh
is
my
a
gosh.
humongous issue, you know. So
Yes.
then that just steamrolls and builds and builds and builds. So you just
Mm-hmm.
you got a whole lot of attitude going on.
Yep. So you need to let that go.
Yep, and that wrong attitude could take you
Today,
places you
my
ain't trying to go
friends.
to. You know, it's gonna get you in
It
more
makes
trouble.
it hard to walk. It makes it hard to move forward because you're carrying so much baggage.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yep. And you taking
Yep.
all of that stuff to somebody else that's trying to listen to you, but you won't even talk to your spouse about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, and so then you're bitter
better.
and you're frustrated
Mhm.
and you are likely potentially trying to get back. You know, there's that payback
That
thing.
payback.
Ooh, that payback is not good. Payback. And then even like wearing filters. We talked about filters on a previous episode. And, you know, that's where all you do is see things through that hurt and that pain. So
Yep.
if you're carrying around all that hurt and pain, you're going to start seeing things like even the simplest message is not going to come through clearly. It's going to come through that filter of hurt and pain. So,
Yep. And that victim
oh
mentality.
my gosh. Woe is me.
Yeah.
You always hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And not making light of that, you know, if your feelings are hurt, I mean, that's a genuine thing, but that's where you don't carry it around. When the time is right, you have that conversation. And so, really,
Yeah.
that's a great segue because, you know, what do you do when you recognize some of that? First of all, because it does drive a wedge in between your relationship.
Yeah.
You know, it creates difficulties in communicating. You don't want to be around that person. You know, it just, I don't know, it's just not good.
Not at all.
And you'll notice that there's there's a wedge between
There's a
you and your
wedge.
spouse. It's
There's a
not- yeah.
shift in the atmosphere in
You
your
don't want to
home.
be around them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
bad.
Or
it's
those
not.
different things that you have a problem with, you know, you'll just automatically do stuff and don't even,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or, you know, when it's time to spend time together, you know, your attitude and your agitation, you know, may cause you to just want to be separate and away from
Mm-hmm.
your spouse or family members or whatever, you know, just because you're still holding on to something.
Yes, I agree with
You know.
that. Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing, you know, what we already said though is, and I know we're going to get to it more in a 2nd
Yeah.
is that forgiveness aspect.
That's number one on how you deal with it. Actually, you have to operate in forgiveness.
Got to. What else are you going to be able to do? You know, you can't wish the problem away. You can't sweep it under the rug because you're holding on to some hurt and some, you know, some bitterness, anger, resentment, you know, or just some bad feelings. And it's not going to go away. You know, you can't use the old saying, time heals all wounds. You know, it does if you do the right things to give
In that
time
time.
to heal. You know what I'm saying? But if you
doing
don't
the right things
address
in
it
that time, yeah.
and begin to take care of it, time itself is not going to heal it. It's just you'll just suppress it. But guess what? At the right moment, that joker's going to come back. And that's why you can pull stuff from 10, 15, 20 years ago that happened. Oh, I remember when you did this, that, and the
Yep.
third. So, you know, your spouse will be like, I thought we got over that. Like, why are we still talking about that now? I thought we was done. You know, but obviously still holding on
Right.
with
No,
a tight grip,
tight grip.
kung fu grip.
Kung fu.
They ain't letting it go.
Got the grippers.
Ain't trying to let it go.
My baby grippers.
God don't like ugly.
Nah, I sure don't.
Yeah. So forgive.
Yes.
Learn
forgiveness.
how to forgive.
And what's really key in here is that we're not telling you to forgive because the other person's asked for forgiveness.
Right.
That would be awesome if they had that self-awareness and say, hey, I realize that what I said may have hurt you. I'm so sorry. Of course, you should definitely forgive. But there are instances where that person either doesn't recognize that they did something. They don't see what they did. You know, and that, sadly to say, there's sometimes where they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be who I'm going to be. Okay. But the reality is you have to forgive regardless. You need to forgive them before they ever ask you. First of all, because Christ calls us to forgive.
Mhm.
He forgave, we forgive. He's our example, he's our model, and we repeat what he does. And again, that's right, whether you get an apology or you don't get an apology. We need to follow Christ's example because Christ knows what he's doing. It makes sense.
Right.
It keeps you from getting bitter, it keeps you from staying hurt. Forgiveness is huge.
Yeah, and don't use that as a manipulative tool either. You know, like when we start to have the conversation, and be like, okay, I want to talk to you about something, you know, and then we go through this and be like, okay, so if you forgive me, I'll forgive you. God ain't
Sir.
never say do that.
Sir.
You know, God ain't never say that. You know, and that's
nah.
why, you know, you brought that up, and it's like you need to be, because the forgiveness that you give frees you
Yes.
from the hurt. You know, it doesn't do as much for that other person all the time. If they know about it and you have that serious discussion, then we can forgive each other and be like, okay, yep, I'm sorry, you sorry, I'm sorry, but not like, you know, if you let me go, I'll let you go, and then we both can be free. But if you don't let me go, I ain't gonna let you go, and we both just still gonna be holding ourselves hostage, you know. And it's silly to say that, but people do it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're humans.
Yeah.
We're just silly. Silly by nature.
It's silly by nature.
Not naughty by nature. Silly by nature.
Silly by nature.
That's
it is
right.
then.
That's right. Another thing that you should do, and we highly recommend, is do some serious soul searching. And what we mean by that is really think about what you're thinking about. And so is that really the way you feel? Like your feelings? Or is that the truth of the situation? Because 9 times out of 10, it's just going to be your feelings. You're in your feelings that day or that moment. The truth probably looks a little different.
Mm-hmm. What kind of filter you wearing?
That's the truth.
What kind of filter you
That's right.
wearing could make the difference in how you feel. Yeah.
Yep. Do you really do more work? Or is that how you feel? Is that the truth or is that how you feel? Because our feelings lie. Feelings go up and down. They're all over the place. You cannot make good, solid decisions based on feelings.
And some of that stuff you might feel that way, but in actuality, like she's saying, when you do your soul searching and you check, you may feel that you do more because your labor is more physical, you know, than somebody else. Like we both, you know, still have full-time jobs. We still, you know, we work from home, you know, but so, you know, both of us could be in the same place of we do the same work as far as working from home goes, you know, but then when it comes to the different things about taking care of the house, you know, well, she could say, well, I do the dishes, you know, I look at the bills, you know, I sweep the floor, these things, and I do more work than you. I could look at it, well, shoot, I got to cut the grass both front and back.
In
you
the
know.
hot sun.
Yeah, I got to do all of that. You know, I don't have no help, and it take me hours to do that. You know, I got to do all the manual labor around the house, fixing stuff. I got to go up in the
Opening
attic when
jars.
it needs that. You know, I got to reach up on the top shelf because you might not be able
'Cause
to
I'm
reach
short.
it. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, people will look at the type of things that they do and compare that to I work harder than you. You know, stop.
Yeah,
You know,
it's not
stop.
it's not healthy. We should stop doing that. You know, and then sometimes that victim mentality, like, are you really the victim or do you sort of give as good as you get? Because I would be willing to bet that there are some times, I know in our past,
Mhm.
you know, I would say stuff and it wouldn't hurt me because I was saying it to you.
Mhm.
But let you snap back and my feelings are all kinds of hurt. I'm all bent out of shape. Like, how dare you? I can't believe you would even talk to me like that. After I just,
I remember that.
yeah, I bet you do.
20 years ago, I'm
gonna
pulling
need
it
you to let
back
that go. I'm gonna need some forgiveness. I'm gonna need you to let that go. Security. I need
Still.
some forgiveness over here.
I'm still hurt.
There's a little cleanup on aisle 9 that's required.
Nope.
Let it go.
No.
Let it go.
Nope.
No.
Ah, girl, you know that you know what I'm saying. We don't do that stuff no more.
For real. All jokes aside.
Yeah. And those times though, you know what I mean? That's what it was. You know, for real, like you know, that's what it was. You know, there would be things that she could say to me that I couldn't say back to her. You know, and there's more of a dynamic that goes into all of that. You know, I don't feel like anyway. You know, some of those times I would try to get back at you. You know, other than you said something to me, and then I could turn around the same thing to you, but then you would go from 0 to 100, you know, because I said the same thing to you, you know, and then it's like we'd have an argument, or I would just shut down and be like, you know.
But my feelings
Yeah.
really felt like I was the victim.
Yeah.
But when you look at the situation, the truth says, nah. I was probably the opposite of the victim.
It was not the victim.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
But that does happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does happen. But praise God, we did make
That's
it
right.
past, and we made
We
past
sure
all
did.
of that. So.
Absolutely. And then I guess one of the last things really is that just having, well, it's not the last thing, but almost the last thing, the having that like open dialogue, I think that has been huge for us. And that's why we're so big on talking about communication all the time, because being able to have those conversations and say, again, timing is everything. It matters. You should not go into a heated argument and say, I feel like da 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 da. Because chances are the other person doesn't care because everybody's heated right now. So when the conversation cools down and you come back and you say, look, I need to talk to you. I really need to create a safe space so I can be honest with my feelings. And just say, I really feel like I'm sort of getting gypped here. I feel like I do this, this, and this. And I really need you to do more because it feels like I'm doing so much work here and I'm not getting the help that I need. But it matters how you say things. Calling somebody a lazy cuss word is not going to get you the results that you're looking for. So you just have to frame up how you say it. When you do this, I feel like this.
And even if it does get you what you asked for, it's going to be done with an attitude, and then it's still going to be more uncomfortable feeling in atmosphere because, so it's not worth it, so just do things the right way.
Yes.
And if you have to keep doing them the right way,
You should do
then
everything
keep doing them
unto the Lord.
the right way, until things change.
Well, and there was times where, when I started changing and started growing, I felt like I was doing more spiritual things than you. I was doing more things, more changing. And I just feel like God, I remember God saying, or guiding me, I was doing everything unto the Lord. So nothing that I was doing was wasted. I wasn't doing it to get your attention. I wasn't doing it to change you. I was doing it because it was the right thing to do. I was serving God through everything that I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's scriptural. That's what the Bible says, is that if you lead by example, don't be that person, that wants to cause more strife in the home, lead by example.
Yes.
And you were, doing a whole lot more, spiritual than I was.
I had a lot to make up for.
Well, you do, we'll talk about that in another episode. But still,
We've
even
actually talked about it on a couple episodes.
at that, even at that time and in that moment, we were still trying to figure a lot of stuff out, so we still had a lot of friction, going on between us, I was starting arguments on purpose just so I could leave, and go out and hang out because I know that you didn't like it, you didn't want me to, and, but I was still, Mr. Friendly, try to
Mr. Social Pants here.
hang out with people and, feeling the way I felt about it.
Yeah,
So it was just a lot of strife.
it was a lot.
A lot of strife.
You were strife?
I said it was a lot of strife. I didn't say I was strife.
I thought you said I was strife.
I
I
did
was
not
like,
say I was strifey.
okay, sir.
No,
Took that on, did you? Okay.
No, my
Need to
brother.
pray that off.
not at all. But so one of the things, solutions, main solutions, for us is you have to be willing to look at yourself. Like she said, think about what you're thinking about. Really step back, pull yourself out of that situation and see how much of this really is me versus
so
how much of
important.
this is really, my spouse or my friend or my family member. How much am I contributing to this mess? Pull yourself out of it, and you have to be willing to do that if you want to heal. Because everything can't just always be somebody else's fault.
Yes.
There are times for that, but you still need to pull yourself out of it and say, okay, where am I in this? Because you can only be responsible for yourself, for what you have done or how you contributed to that. And then your actions, if you really want to fix the problem, your actions can change the atmosphere. You can bring forth change in your situation
Yes.
depending on how you act. Now, if you got two people that are willing to do that together, then that's perfect. But if you're the only one who can see the issue and say, okay, I need to fix this in my relationship, I need to fix this in my marriage because I see the problem. Now I've recognized it. Now I can fight against it so that we can bring peace into our relationship. If that has to be you, then by all means, step
Yes.
up to the plate and do it.
Yes.
And then that will, by prayer, and that will bring the change that you're looking for. And some people don't want to change themselves. They're looking for somebody else to change first. Okay, I see the problem. It's you. Now I need you to. That's not how this is going to work. Stop looking at somebody else's
'Cause you
faults
can't
and look
fix
at your
somebody.
own.
You can't fix
You
somebody.
have to be responsible for yourself.
That's good.
And
That's a
when
good
you
word.
own it,
Mm-hmm.
and then do what you feel or what the word of God feels is necessary in order for you to bring forth the change. We say sometimes, be the change that you want to see.
Yes, that's good.
And that's a true statement.
That is.
Be the change that you want to see. And you start acting differently and see how the situation changes because of your actions.
Yes.
I said a whole lot there.
No, that was good. That's exactly where I wanted to go, actually. So, high five.
Boom.
Yeah. No, I that's exactly where I wanted to go because you can only be responsible for your part.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, again, I had a lot of stuff to fix. I was so busy focusing on me, I had time to think about what you were doing. I had a laundry list of things that needed work. I was too busy worrying about me.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't look at you. It's sort of like I'm worried about the speck in your eye, and I got
Right.
this, timber beam, this lumber in my own eye.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I had to worry about me first. I had to get me fixed, and then, but everything else was prayer for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So that's really our last step is pray, pray, pray. Keep
Right.
praying. Some things are a little harder than others. Some things take longer than others.
Right.
But you pray your way through. Pray the change that you want to see in yourself, and pray the change that you want to see in your spouse.
Yep. And also pray for other people to come alongside of you. If you belong to a church, then you ought to be able to have some mature people
Yes.
that can help you walk through the situation because you never made to or intended to go through anything alone. So there should be somebody that can kind of hold your hand, and walk you through this process, of healing, how to do it the right way. There are plenty of books, and
Yes.
things that you can use.
Yes.
Different messages that are out there to listen to on healing and how to work through situations and stuff. Don't feel like you're on an island all by yourself and that there's nothing that you can do and nobody's there for you. That's a lie.
That is a lie.
First of all, God is always there. But if you need people, ask God to bring people into
Yes.
your circle that can help you to walk
Yes.
through this.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, no, that's good.
Okay, I'm done. I don't have nothing else to say.
Actually, that's the end of our episode.
Oh, all right.
High five again, sir.
All
Yeah,
right.
so, we hope that you enjoyed what we talked about tonight. We hope that it was something that can minister to you, that, you can start to apply to your life. That's the whole purpose for what we're doing.
Yeah.
And maybe every message doesn't, mean something to you right there in that moment.
Right.
But you may need it at some point, or you may even be able to give that advice to a friend.
Yeah.
So, but again, hope you really enjoyed it. We liked bringing it to you. I felt a little silly and giddy tonight, so I hope that wasn't too distracting to the message. It is a little bit of who I am, so.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
But it's all good.
Okay.
So thank you guys for
Yeah,
tuning in.
thanks,
This
guys.
time we'll see you soon next week. All right. See y'all later.
See ya.